Good
Good
morning.
morning.
It is Sunday, March the 27th.
It is.
I am not the captain of my own destiny, nor even of this new day. And so I renounce anew all claim to my own life and desires. I am only yours, O Lord. Lead me by your mercies through these hours, that I might spend them well, not in harried pursuit of my own agendas, but rather in good service to you. Teach me to shepherd the small duties of this day with great love, tending faithfully those tasks you place within my care, and tending with patience and kindness the needs and hearts of those people you place within my reach. Nothing is too hard for you, Lord Christ. I deposit now all confidence in you, that whatever these waking hours bring, my foundations will not be shaken. At day's end, I will lay me down again to sleep, knowing that my best hope is well kept in you. In all things your grace will sustain me. Bid me follow, and I will follow. So,
So,
what shall we talk about this morning?
no clue.
Let's talk about this. Woo Pig Suey. There are things in life that there can only be one winner of, or that there's only one, there's only one job to get.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one job to get. There's only one chance to make that presentation. There's only one winner of the NCAA basketball tournament. There's only, one promotion to be handed out at work. There's only, one person to take the plea bargain on the tax evasion. There's only one. You'll be okay. There's this thing called the innocent spouse provision.
Our taxes actually turned out better than we expected, so...
Unless I did something wrong. That's what I'm a little worried about now, but it's all been transmitted, so it's too late. But there's only one of this, or maybe there's a limited number, but there's not enough. Now, there's a lot of things in life that are not zero sum. And going back 2 years ago, we talked about that, and we may have to talk about that again, just because it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But some things are. Some things there's a limit on. There's a limited number of whatever's out there, championships, specific jobs, and all that kind of thing, and sometimes you fall short.
But that doesn't mean you failed.
That's exactly where we want to go right quick.
Because, and I think that one of the things is the further along you get, the more the failure mindset sets in. If you're eliminated early, you don't get your hopes up quite as much. So the longer you go, when it comes down to just a handful of options, the more excited you get, and the more it feels like failure when you don't get it. But it's actually the opposite. You made it that far, you progressed that far, you show you have skills, and that should motivate you to keep working toward eventually being the one who gets it.
Yes. And also recognizing, and this is where Heather Thompson Day's book that is not over here at this point.
It's
But her book, It's Not Your Turn, which is it's a great book.
over here. No, I guess I've already read.
About the fact that sometimes, it's just that's just it. It's not your turn. It's somebody else's turn. There's growth to be had. There's development to be had.
It is over here.
It is
There
over
you
here.
go.
It's Not Your Turn. Great read. Great book.
It's on my list. I hadn't gotten to it yet.
And how you need to learn and grow and develop. And I mean, this is what Anne's right about, that, the closer you get and then fall short, or don't get there. We've been there with job hunting in the past, where it's one thing when you're a pastor and you're seeking a job. A lot of times your resume ends up in this big stack, and
You never get a phone call.
It just disappears, and you just don't know, and that's no big deal. But the things that stand out to me, the jobs I didn't get that stand out to me, are things like back in seminary, when a church, paid for us to drive all the way from Memphis over to Pine Bluff, bought us dinner, told us how wonderful it was to meet us and how that they'd be in touch within a couple of weeks about next steps. And we never heard from them again. So some things like that, that one came real close. There's other churches that is like, I know my resume was one of 100 and it never got past the initial filter, never even got the, sorry, Bob, you didn't get the job postcard, where they forgot to update the name field from the other guy that didn't get the job. I actually have gotten like very obvious form letters in rejection before. And sometimes, if it's something that, okay, well, nobody, that there's not a way to recover that is what stings harder. But look at it as, you want to try to look at it as, what can we learn from this? How do I grow from this? How do I go forward from this? Not, well, I guess I'm still just a loser. And all that wraps back around to one other observation. When you play a tournament, and you get down to the top 8 teams, those are the top 8 teams.
There's a reason it's called the Elite 8 in March Madness, because they are the elite teams for the year in basketball.
There are 312 NCAA Division I basketball programs. 312. 68 of them earned a place in the tournament. Texas A&M, you didn't earn a place in the tournament. Go sit down and hush. Enjoy your time in the NIT. 312. That means the top 10% would be 31. So what does that means the top 5% are 15. The Sweet 16 is essentially the top 5%. Arkansas Razorback basketball turned out to be in the top 3%, essentially, of basketball teams this year. You may say, oh no, they just, teams get fluky.
2 years.
Winning games in tournaments shows that you're a good basketball team. So anyway, all that to say, the same thing, look sometimes at that. We remember, and we made fun of them a lot in the 90s. The Buffalo Bills lost like 4 Super Bowls in a row. Set a record. It's amazing. And it feeds into our mindset that fits with Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights, that is, second place is the first loser.
But they made it
There's
to the
a
Super
whole
Bowl.
heck of a lot of people behind you. So decide what race that you're going to run. Are you going to run a race such that you're an utter failure if you don't come in first? Or are you going to say, I did everything that I can, and sometimes other people can be better? I will embrace the humanity and the reality of that. Meanwhile, you might also need to learn to embrace how to actually operate the airframe. Beep, 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 beep. So anyway.
I beeped it a couple times and I was like, wow, this is loud. And I hesitated for a point second. It's like, oh, this must be where you want it to be. Start. No, it's not.
So anyway. You're not a loser just because you don't come out on top every time. Now, that's not to say that there's not a difference and a separation. But as has been pointed out before, you know what they call the person that graduates last in his class at medical school? Doctor. When it comes down to it, another thing to do, pick up Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, and read the chapter that talks about success and how there is a level at which people who finish in the top third at law school or in economic school in doctorates is, these schools, well, that school's not as good. The top people at any school are about equal all the way around. Strive to be one of the best that you can be. Mm-hmm. Let the rest of it shake out. It'll be all right. You got anything else to add?
Sounds good.
Okay. You want to read the Bible, or shall we just call it a day? I got a Bible right here. Oh. Psalm 1. You want to read your psalm for the day? Psalm 137?
No, I really don't.
Shall we just do our memory verse there?
Oh, sure. Psalm 19, 1 through 4.
For the choir director, a psalm of David.
The heavens declare the glory of God, and the expanse proclaims the work of his hands. Day after day they pour out speech. Night after night they communicate knowledge. There is no speech, there are no words, their voice is not heard. Their message has gone out to the ends of the world. Has gone out to the whole earth, and their words to the ends of the world.
Close enough.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the blessing of your victory overall. And thank you that you work through us, and that if we're walking in your will, we are walking in your plan and your success. I pray that we will remember that above all. And Father, I pray that you will be with us as we gather for worship in various locations, and help us to honor and glorify you well as we join with our communities. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Beep. Alexa.